All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the May Planning Commission meeting. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We're going to have opening prayer by our city chaplain, Tim Doolin, and followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by myself. So if you would, please stand.
Let's pray. Father God, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for the ones that are here to serve our community. Father, we just ask and for the wisdom and the discernment and the unity of this commission as decisions are going to be made tonight. Father, just help all discussions to be guided with respect, with integrity, Father, for the desire for our city and its people. Father, we thank you for our city of Cabot. We thank you for how we are growing. And Father, we just ask that you be in this place tonight. Father, again, we just ask for wisdom, clarity, and unity as we go into a time of business. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Tim. Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, let's go ahead and get a roll call. Laura?
Byrd.
Here.
Lowe.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Knack.
Here.
DeArmond.
Here.
Prater.
Here.
O'Gwen.
Here. All right, 7-0. We do have a quorum. Let's go ahead and get acceptance of our meeting minutes from the April Planning Commission meeting. Do I have any corrections or adjustments? If not, I entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve from Knack. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from DeArmond. Roll call vote, please, Laura.
Byrd.
Yes.
Lowe.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Knack.
Yes.
Prater.
Yes.
DeArmond.
Yes.
O'Gwen.
Yes.
All right, 7-0. Minutes are approved from last month. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into Planning Commission new business. I know many of you are here for the first item on the agenda. In new business, we are conducting, it's not a public hearing, but we will have an opportunity for the public to speak after the new business. We have 3 items under that section, so if anybody's got an agenda. So I will allow folks to come up. We'll have 3 minutes max for each person to come up and say what they want to say and go from there. So, all right, Laura, first item.
Preliminary plat, Oak Hill, Terra Verde LLC. Again, this is a preliminary plat application for a piece of property that is located on Highway 5. It's just over 78 acres in size. This item was on last month's agenda for a preliminary plat approval as well. Again, they are proposing to build about just over 212 residential lots on this piece of property. As you can see in the staff report, there are several red and yellow items that still need to be addressed. Some of the items from last month were addressed. Some of the items still have not been addressed. We do have some additional comments, as you can see in the staff report, that were submitted from staff about the drainage coming out on Highway 5 as well as going through the subdivision to the south. You asked me to also reach out to the RDOT to find out about the site distance. I have reached out to them many times. They were supposed to get an answer back to me today. I have still yet to receive an answer back from RDOT on that site distance requirement. So I've not been able to get that answer for you on the site distance for the 2 driveway proposals on Highway 5. The applicant is here if you have questions for him again. I also do have a representative from Half Engineering here as well if you have any other questions as far as drainage wise with their drainage report.
All right. Thank you, Laura. Commissioners have any questions for Laura? All right, seeing none. Is the applicant here want to speak?
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Commissioners. My name's Don Overton. I'm one of the members of Terra Verde. Jim Coy is also a member, and then I brought Mr. Corbett here, who's the engineer of record. He can answer questions about site distances on Highway 5 as well as the drainage report. Before I get started though, if you would just give me a couple minutes, I want to remind everybody about what this project is. And so we've got 212 lots. 4 of those have been cut out for trash dumpster location areas, so it's 208 lots. We won't build on all 208. We will probably utilize anywhere from 150 to 165, depending on how we get into it. You know, the economics to see how it works. But what this project is, so these were going to be duplexes. It's build to rent, which we talked about before when we did the rezone. And so let me take a step back. So March 31st of 2023, a tornado ripped through Little Rock. It started behind my house, dropped 2 trees on my house. I had to rebuild 80% of my house. Luckily, I had built one of these in South Little Rock. I called the property manager that night. I moved in there with my family 10 days later and lived there for 10 months. And I lived in the 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath we're going to hear. So why am I telling you this? So I have an autistic son. At the time, he was 4. He's 7 now. He has issues with verbal communication. He has problems with loud noise. You know, autism is a spectrum. Those are his main things. And so I did a lot of research, and we have a rescue dog, which the research showed me would help with some of those things. Her name's Max. She's named after the Grinch's dog from The Grinch Stole Christmas, right? My son named her. My wife thought about naming a girl dog Max, but right, it's his dog. Why am I telling you that? Because that dog was vital to my son's mental and emotional growth, especially at that age. Especially after losing the only house he'd ever known to a tornado. That afternoon when he was there were 2 trees in it. The electrical panel was ripped off the back. The roof was caved in. You know, it was like a bomb had gone off. We moved into one of these and lived there again for 10 months. There was a yard. There was an attached garage. My wife works at Children's in the neonatal ICU. She leaves for work at 6 a.m. on the days that she works. It's still dark outside 9 months out of the year at 6 a.m. So there's safety and security. There's a yard that we didn't have to mow. Living there was almost a seamless transition from the house that we had to there while I rebuilt our house. If we'd have had to live in an apartment where I couldn't have had my son's dog, he would not be as far along as he is now in his development with his autism. The loud noise thing, the dog's terrified of loud noises because she was at home when the tornado hit. And so whenever there's a loud noise and the dog gets scared, my son comforts her. That's helped him get over his, fear of the loud noise thing. Obviously, I don't mind talking to people, right? Because I'm here today. That's one of the things that he can't do. And so it was a godsend that there was something like this available for us when that happened, and we were basically homeless because of a natural disaster. And so that's what we're wanting to bring to Cabot. Apartments are a bad word, right? I understand that from the planning position and all that in the communities, right? Multifamily is a bad word. This is a hybrid of that. And so they're all rentals, but they're homes, right? So it's a home. You don't have anybody above you or below you. You have an attached garage, you have a yard. You don't have to go through any other neighborhood to get here. There's no traffic impacts on any other neighborhoods going through residential streets. We looked at a spot in Greystone, and that was an issue, so we found a spot that this is an isolated neighborhood that's going to have entrances on and off Highway 5. It won't go through any other neighborhoods. And so it's a standalone neighborhood. As we all know, or at least I hope everybody knows, right, there's a new vet school coming to Cabot. Those students and the instructors are going to need a place to live, the ones that don't buy a home. I don't know how many of you all know people who have gone to vet school. I graduated from Auburn, and I knew a lot of vet students. They all have pets. Not pet, singular, but plural. They almost all have pets. You can't have pets in an apartment, right? We encourage pets. We've got sidewalks all throughout. We'll put dog parks in as part of the lots that we're going to give up because we encourage that, just like when I had the one that I lived in with my son and my wife while we rebuilt our house. And so it fits in with the walkable Cabot plan because of the way we're going to have it laid out. And you can see we've got a lot of green space and set aside space. But that's what we're proposing. It'll be a benefit to the city of Cabot. Also, you've got the Mercy Hospital expansion. Those frontline healthcare workers are going to need a place to live. There are also police and fire and teachers currently that live in Cabot or that work in Cabot that don't live here because it's hard to find a place to live. So we're going to give them an option as well. And so that's what we're trying to do. As the gentleman that said the prayer earlier, you know, Cabot's growing. We're trying to help Cabot grow. That's what this is. And again, we're here in front of the Planning Commission tonight. And under the UDC, you know, this is our preliminary plat, right? And this document's designed to show the proposed subdivision in sufficient detail to indicate its workability, but not in final form with all the details fully computed. And so that's what we're presenting tonight. And that's what we're asking for your vote on is our preliminary plat in sufficient detail to indicate its workability. These are not construction drawings. It's a preliminary plat. It's preliminary. The final construction drawings haven't been done because we're not to that stage yet. I did bring my engineer, Mr. Corbett, here. He can answer all the questions about the drainage report. A key thing on the drainage report, as Mr. Corbett can detail, is that not only will we exceed what the UDC requires, which is a 1 in 10 year rain event, we've got it designed to a 1 in 25 year rain event. And so when we complete this project, there will be less water coming off of this site than there is today. So, you know, the standard is that we can't create a situation where more water comes off than there is today. We've gone above and beyond that, and we have it designed in our drainage reports. We're actually going to capture more water than comes off of it today. So we're going above and beyond. So those are my comments. Does anybody have any comments or questions about the overall application, or if you just have technical comments, Mr. Corbett can answer those on the drainage report. And Mr. Corbett also is an engineer for RDOT for several years, and so he's reviewed the RDOT plans, and he can discuss the site distances as well. So does anybody have any
questions for Don? I got two. One is the sightlines topic. Laura has not received information from RDOT on what the requirements are there for highway. And then the other one was the drainage, if you could elaborate on the drainage. So I don't know if
Chris can answer any detailed questions on that.
All right, Chris.
Sure. Hi, my name's Chris. He called me Mr. Corbett, but you can call me Chris. Tell me.
He is a real engineer, even though he doesn't have a pocket protector.
So the issues of the sightlines,
Sightline.
'cause I think that was one of the topics.
You mean specifically, if I can understand your question, the sight lines for the stopping sight distance on Highway 5?
Yes.
Is that what you mean?
Well,
Yeah.
it's intersection site distance that you're creating two intersections. So it'd be intersection site distance on Highway 5.
Say that one more time?
It's intersection site distance.
Yes.
Because you're creating an intersection.
Okay.
With a minor street and a major street.
And what is your concerns?
What is the site distance?
The sight distance, if you're heading north, is 600 feet. So it kind of peaks there. Now, if you're heading south, the sight distance is 700 feet. And the stopping sight distance at the design speed on Highway 5 being 55 miles an hour is 535 feet for rural areas. So we've got plenty of sight distance, meeting the minimum sight distance. And then the highway department, as you well know, it's either their way or the highway, no pun intended, right? So if they've got some concerns, it's my understanding that our design has been approved by them. It's unfortunate to hear Ms. Nobles saying she hadn't gotten an answer back, but as you well know, if there's a problem with the stopping sight distance, the highway department's gonna let us know. But it's my understanding that our preliminary plat has been approved through the highway department.
If I may, I assume everybody has seen the design plans for Highway 5 of what RDOT's going to go, but I've learned long time ago to never assume. So if you look on, if y'all can see the map, right, where Highway 5 is. So at our south entrance, starting just north of our south entrance, there's going to be a permanent median that goes all the way up.
A permanent one.
Median. It's going to be, so where our south entrance is, as you're coming south from Greystone. So the way it's going to work is it's currently 2 lanes. It's going to be 4 lanes in the future. But there's going to be a permanent median. So you're not going to be able to turn left from that north entrance across a permanent median. And you won't be able to turn left coming in a permanent median. The nearest turnaround is up by Greystone, where they're going to put in a roundabout. There's going to be 2 U-turn, weird configuration things up north, but the full turnaround is a roundabout up at Greystone. So once the highway department finishes their expansion, our north entrance will be a right turn in and a right turn out. We will not be doing that strip until well after they're done, because it's going to take us 2.5 years to get to that point, at best. That's if, we hit all the weather perfect, which never happens. The south entrance has a left turn out and a left turn in. But coming south, Highway 5 is going to turn into 3 lanes because there's going to be a turn lane. So when it comes down south, they've got designed in a left turn that's going to go in with a 3rd lane to turn into our property. That 3rd lane is going to go down to the intersection. So the left turns out of our intersection they'll be turning into a left turn lane as opposed to the 2 lanes of flow traffic coming down. And so, and I've got those preliminary plans, but they're still working on some of their tweaks on stuff. They were supposed to have those to me last week. I understand Ms. Noble's consternation with them. I emailed them 3 times last week trying to get a copy of the plans they promised me I'd have last Monday for tonight, but I haven't gotten them from them. But the north entrance will be right turn only coming out. And it'll be right turn only in 1 lane. The left lane will still be flowing free. And then on the south lane, again, there'll be a dedicated left turn lane. And it's going to go to 3 lanes. So they've got it widening like this. Y'all know where it's already wide out there now? Well, they're going to extend that and take it up, and then there's going to be a median. And I don't know the exact distance, but it's pretty wide because as y'all all know, the Pulaski County line is right there on that highway, and it drops off considerably, right? And so it's not just going to be a median, but it's going to be an elevation change too as it goes up there, at least in that area. So it's, I hope that helps answer some of what you're asking, Chad, because it's right, there's a lot more involved than just the strict site distance, because there's more pieces. But again, once they do that, that's going to be 2 lanes just going north. And there'll be no way to access the south unless you go up to Greystone or hit one of the U-turn things, which will be a nightmare. And so the left will be out of the bottom.
Just to clarify my question, I'm not concerned with the northern driveway because it is right turn in, right turn out.
Yes, sir.
The concern I'm talking about is from your southern driveway to make a left to come south on Highway 5. What is the sight distance from there to the crest of the hill? Because that right now it's a 2-lane roadway. Right.
Yes.
When RDOT widens it, it'll be a 5-lane roadway. So you're crossing 3 lanes of traffic. So that further extends your reaction time that you have to get across 3 lanes of traffic with a left turn at 55 miles an hour at a downgrade of probably, what is that, 10, 12%? So that's not flat ground. So your calculation needs to make sure that you are analyzing the situation out there and not just a regular stopping sight distance. So that's what I'm asking. I don't know. I haven't been.
Yes,
But looking at your stationing here, you're from about 269.50 up to the crest of the hill is maybe 276. So you might have 6 50 or something like to the crest of the hill.
So
That's why I'm asking. what is-
Yeah, that's a good question.
What's required? What is it measured? That should be a simple calculation for somebody to do.
And so to that, so that left turn won't be crossing across 3 lanes of traffic going south. There'll be 2 lanes of traffic coming from the south, and that's 725 feet to that intersection. And so and then it's going to be turning into a turn lane. The 2 lanes of flow, so it won't be going across 3 lanes of traffic going south. It'll be turning into a dedicated turn lane, then the flow of traffic will be going outside of that.
That's not the use of the turn lane.
I know,
so-
I think, Commissioner Law, I know where you're going with that. So with the stopping sight distance, you have the reaction time and then the braking distance. So my calculations and my understanding from the highway department, we have 600 feet. And at the design speed of 55 miles an hour, the minimum stopping sight distance would be 535 feet. So we've exceeded it. We've exceeded the minimum, but I understand your concern.
You're quoting stopping sight distance though, which
Right.
I agree is the absolute minimum. So for an intersection to operate properly, it should have intersection sight distance. And since we're creating this, it'd be great to do that on the front end.
I hear what you're
versus come
saying.
back after the fact.
Right.
That's my question. What is it? And
It seems like we still need some kind of certification from the highway department on this.
If it,
It's
man, if
close,
it
it's too
doesn't-
close.
yes, sir. Like I said, it's either their way or the highway, and we will meet their parameters. And from my understanding, this preliminary plat has been approved by them, but I don't have anything in writing.
Well, the plat hasn't, but the entrance locations have.
The entrance locations have been approved.
so Chris, are they changing the grade of Highway 5 at all? Are they
So I've
taking any of these
seen-
hills down?
Yeah,
Are they
I've-
flattening that? Is that helping the situation?
I have seen one page of the design for the improvements. Now, like you said, those have not been completed yet, and I'm unsure of whether or not that contract's been let. But I do know they want to make some improvements to that highway, which would alleviate some of the stopping intersection sight distance
Well, I mean,
issues.
You've been at RDOT, you know, if they're acquiring right away, they've got 60% roadway plan. So that line and grade is set. They're not changing that. So, I mean, they can tell you what the roadway profile should be
Yes, sir.
through there.
I will find out the answer to that question.
That's all I was asking.
Yes, sir. Okay.
What is it now? What's it gonna be?
Right.
Do you meet the minimums? So,
And that's on, just to clarify, that's the southbound new road that's being built that you're asking on, the new extension that's going
well,
south.
because that's where you have the intersection site distance. If you're
Yeah.
right in, right out, you don't have intersection site distance. You have stopping distance concerns maybe on the north side of that hill because you're going down grade and
Yes, sir. I just want to,
Not a very
clarify
good-
to make sure we get the
Yeah,
right question to RDOT.
Any other questions from commissioners?
the drainage.
Yes, I'm bringing that up next. So Laura, you've got additional information on the drainage?
Additional information or additional comments?
Additional comments.
So after we received the new submittal, the engineer on record that we have that reviews our plans as well as our street director, they had some concerns on the stormwater discharge, adding the flows to the surrounding drainage area and how it will flow down Highway 5, because it still will have to go through the property that is south of the property on Highway 5. So they're just currently right now unsure that this increase in the stormwater that our current system can handle this much additional discharge.
Do we want to hear from them?
Mike is here, Mike Watson with HAF to answer any
Don.
questions.
Thank you, Chris. Let's get some comments from Mike on stormwater.
Chairman, fellow commissioners. So our concern is the pre-development C value they're using is 0.55. That's typically for a pasture or grass area. The current site is very wooded, and so we think the C value for pre-development should be closer to 0.25. And the difference in that is if you use a higher C value in your pre-development, you can do less detention in the final post-development. So that would mean they would be detaining less water than they would if it was a 0.25. So that's our concern, and we're afraid that the detention ponds aren't adequate if you use the C value of 0.25. We're also concerned about the discharges because we weren't given a pre-development plan. We don't know where inflow is coming in and where inflow is going out, and how it corresponds to their flow that they're putting out post-development, after they do their development. And that's the concerns that we have. And we've also requested, on the last 2 reviews, I know for sure, a profile of the center line of Highway 5. Now, if that's changing, then they need to use the profile of the proposed roadway that RDOT is doing. So, be happy to try to answer any questions.
Mike, I don't want to put you on the spot. What is the requirement for detention?
The detention is you cannot release more water than is currently running off the site. So you have to detain water that's above the amount of it. Yeah. So basically, you have to detain more water than was the same amount of water that's leaving the site now. After the subdivision, the same amount has to go out then.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah. No, I
I want
understand.
people to understand what we're talking
Yeah.
about with detention. And
Yeah.
the detention pond should be designed with a staged release, or is it just one release, or?
It should be a staged release. It should be a slow release. It's typically how you're going to do that with smaller orifices and that sort of thing, or smaller pipes.
And then what you're talking about, the drainage pattern before, you're just trying to make sure water's going to the same place it was going.
Correct.
It's not
Correct.
switching basins or switching locations,
Yes.
creating an issue somewhere else.
Because we actually have 2 basins that are not, well, 2 catching curb inlets that are being discharged without going through detention ponds. So we want to make sure that that's being accounted for in the detentions that they're doing also.
So just to make sure I understand, the C value of 0.55 is more for pastures, pasture land, green fields, not a wooded.
Correct. That's
Area.
the way we interpret it.
And you're recommending a 0.25 is what they should be using for calculations, which would possibly upsize detention areas, maybe deeper, I mean.
More of them are deeper
Yeah.
because they have several detention ponds. There's not just one, there's several.
Commissioners, any other questions? Thank you, Mike. Appreciate the explanation.
You're welcome.
Chris, you want to comment on
Oh, okay.
Mike's findings?
My fellow engineer, Mr. Watson, is absolutely correct on using a lower C value. However, we've designed our detainage basin, we've over-designed our detainage basins. We've got 7 of them, and if I understand Mr. Watson correctly, is that what he's saying is that the undeveloped flow would be lower, which means whatever the pre-development flow is, X, he's saying there'd be a larger delta there. If, I know, y'all may not be privy to my chart, but, the design volume on our 7 detention basins is over the required value. I can go rerun those calculations with a lower coefficient and make sure that that delta can be handled. But based on my engineering judgment, we are releasing less water after the post-development water flow in cubic feet per second is going to be less than the current pre-development flow off the site. But Mr. Watson's comments are well heard, and I understand what he's saying. There'd be a higher delta, but based on our design volume of those 7 detention basins, I think that delta could be handled, but I'll go back and make sure.
Well, and 2 things to remember too, on that. So the UDC requires that the drainage report calculations are based on a 1 in 10 year rainfall event. Mr. Corbett designed these for a 1 in 25 year rain event. On top of that, our detention basins are sized for a 100-year event. And so, those are things I want you to keep in mind. The engineer, I forgot his name. Mr. Watson's comments of concern about the size of the basins. Those basins are sized for a 100-year event, not a 10-year event. The discharge flow, we did it for a 25-year rain event, not a 1 in 10-year event. And so we've over-designed the rainfall, and then we specifically, that's why we have 7 catch basins. We specifically over-designed those to the 100-year. And that's why we feel confident that not only will we not increase tomorrow the amount of water that flows off it today, but there will be less water tomorrow than there is today. Is that right, Mr. Corbett?
That's right. We're gonna meet your parameters, and Mr. Watson's comments are heard loud and clear, and I'll go rerun those calcs with a lower coefficient.
Just a quick, it's not less water, it's less flow rate. There's more water because there's more impervious area, there's more water coming off. We're just handling it differently to release it at the same rate. It just may be a little bit longer than it did before.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So it's not less water.
But
Because
but part of what the way we don't have this factored into the calculations, but the way the homes are designed and the way the lots will be laid out, all the rain that hits the houses will go into the front yard. We've got it designed where we're going to capture the bulk of the rainwater because we maintain the lawns, right? All of you probably know that city water, grass doesn't get as green and grow as well as it does from rainwater, right? The one of these that I built in Little Rock, they spend $35,000 a month to irrigate the lawns in the summer. Right, that's a lot of money. And so when we redesigned these, we designed it with the idea of capturing as much of that rainwater. So we're going to try to capture the bulk of it that comes off. So the main water going into the streets or going into the detention basins are going to be what falls in the streets. The stuff that falls in the yards, we're designing that to try to capture as much of that. But none of that's included in the calculations. That's just bonus because, right, I'm doing that. It's for green purposes, but it's also to have the lawns green, right? It's environmentally friendly and it looks good. And so our goal is to capture as much water as we can. I know we're not going to capture all of it. Our goal is to try.
and done right, it could be a benefit. I agree. Laura, or I don't want to throw Mayor Mike under the bus again, but what is the detention requirements for the site? Drainage pipes for the roadway are to be designed at 10-year storm events, catch basins 25-year, and detention is 2, 10, 25, and 50
Correct.
year discharges? Okay, so we've not really over-designed anything. We've designed it to what the minimum standards are. So I just want to be clear on that too.
Any other comments?
I
Nice.
understand that this is a preliminary plat and you've got 212 lots on here.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're talking about concerns of where water's going and where it's not going. What are you going to use to make your determination to whether or not you fully build the 212 lots or less? Because you got a preliminary plat here that says we're going to put 212 lots in here. We're going to put these little detention ponds here that's going to cover all this drainage and water flow, and we're going to catch them all catch most of it in the yards. Yeah, grass does catch a lot of water. Streets don't. So when you go into designing your final plat, what are you going to use to determine, okay, we're not going to build 212 lots. This is only going to be able to handle 150.
Well, Ms. Burke, it's designed for 212 lots.
I know,
I'm saying-
but a while ago you said we may or may not, based on, perimeters later on. So, yes, it's designed for 212 lots. And we try to do the best job that we possibly can for drainage flow and all that. But, and you talk about 100-year catch ponds and all this. Well, I don't know how many of y'all have seen some flooding in the last 4 to 5 years that supposedly hasn't happened in 100 years. And I've experienced that myself in my backyard, you know, because of subdivisions behind me. So where, later on, when you design for 212 lots, are you going to be a good neighbor later on and say, well, okay, we're going to recalculate this. This is not going to work because we're up on top of the hill and that water is going to run down to our neighbors. Where are you going to make the determination, okay, we can't put 212 lots here? What are we going to do to be a good neighbor?
Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we don't develop the lots, that's not going to increase our, because the calculations, once we construct on the lot, then that increases the water flow. So anything that we leave native would actually benefit as opposed to harm that number.
That's correct. That's why I'm asking, you know, you're designing 212 lots. If you don't do 212 lots and you leave natural vegetation rather than building 212 lots, then that's going to be beneficial to the drainage flow and everything, because your trees and your vegetation is going to catch a lot of that.
Yes, ma'am.
Rather than cleaning out the whole piece of property and putting 7 little catch ponds in there. And what happens when those things overflow? And it does happen. Where is that water going to go? To your neighbor. Unless you, goes downhill, unless you've got some type of a drainage ditch somewhere that's going to catch. And the one that I'm looking at for sure is the small one up where the city limits is. There's one small one that's only a lot size. That's a lot of water up at the, I'm assuming it's the north end. There's one in between, lot 163 and 164. It's a lot size. How deep is that?
I believe they're all 5 feet.
5 feet. Doesn't take long to fill up 5 foot of water when there's a lot of rain.
Yeah, I think Liz is bringing up a good point. I mean, the plot plan is not designed in stages. So to fully take advantage of the detention solutions you have, you've got to build this out fully. And so if you're going to build only half or 158 or whatever, 156, you know, how are you going to handle detention at that phase?
Well,
Does that kind of summarize what you're saying, Liz?
when we do it's not broken up into phases because we're not going to do it in phases. We're just going to build straight through.
Yeah, but you mentioned earlier that you might only build up to 150 something depending on market.
Right, and so we wouldn't go halfway up and stop. That's what I mean. We're going to pull some out because we'll pull some out in the middle to have a dog park. We're going to have to pull some out to do the cluster mailbox things. And so it'll be as we get into construction and see the layout, because the topography on there, there'll be some places that'll be more beneficial to not build on, and so we'll scatter through green spaces because it's a walkable neighborhood. That's the
Well,
whole
what's to
purpose.
say if we approve this and, you know, thinking that you're going to build 150 lots and then you do 212?
Well, the most we can do is 208 right now because we've already pulled out 4 of them for trash. Those are delineated on the preliminary plat and in the application. And then, like I said, when we get into it, we'll figure out, but we need to, but it's designed for 212. The drainage is designed for 212. Any lot that we don't build on will help that drainage situation, as Commissioner Byrd said, as opposed to hurt it. So any that we don't build on will actually benefit the overall drainage scheme as opposed to hurt it. So it's not like down the road we're going to make it worse. down the road, all we're gonna do is make it better, which it's already over-designed. Is that right?
Yeah, I think I understand your question. Is there a possibility that you're gonna approve 212 lots and then only build on the 150? From my understanding, that's not the plan. But I do understand your concerns that you get in there and then quit at a certain number. I don't, to my understanding, that's not the plan. Otherwise, we would have been here with a different phase, but,
If we were only planning to do half of it, we'd have cut it in half and just try to do half. We'd like to do the whole thing.
So just to clarify, this is a single phase. This is all you're doing, exactly how we see it here in terms of roads. The lots may or may not be built on. And I think the reason we're asking all these questions is we've heard before, as it sits right now, as vacant land, there is severe drainage issues for the neighborhoods below it. So I think to let everyone's minds be at ease, I don't need to exceed a value with the wrong coefficient. I need to exceed it with the correct one. So that would probably set a lot of the questions away if we said, well, it's based on a forest, not as a grassland, because grassland obviously takes the water a little bit better than, say, running off the leaves and down the hill. So I think an overlay of what RDOT's doing would help a lot of people visualize it too, for those that are worried about the turn lane scenario, which unfortunately we can't get access to, can't get an answer to. And it's hard to approve a preliminary entryway. I get it that they say yes or no, but that doesn't mean it's safe. It's a minimum standard there as well. But I think the coefficient needs to be fixed so that we know that this is gonna not just be a little bit better than it was before, that hopefully we're gonna fix the issues that are currently there, if that makes sense. So I'm sorry, that wasn't really a question, but.
Good comments. Any other?
I have one more comment about, are you in negotiation with RDOT for right-of-way? As that RDOT purchased the right-of-way across your property, is that taken into account?
They have not purchased the right-of-way yet.
That, I
Because-
think we need to understand what that is as well, because we don't want to approve something that gives you a hammer to RDOT to, I've got this plan approved through the city now, that affects the value of the property even more, in my opinion. I think for the city of Cabot looking out for the public interest, that all needs to be part of this conversation here.
So are you asking, have we agreed on a square foot price for right-of-way? Or are you asking if we've signed a right-of-way easement agreement? Or are you asking if they've delineated the right-of-way?
Well, I'll be very clear. Is your right-of-way that you're showing on this plat take into account what the highway department is trying to acquire?
Yes, sir. I believe that, I don't have that. I believe that it's showing what they plan to take, or we've already negotiated the price with them. We've already negotiated all that, because I'm basically giving them the right of way. We're not gonna hold them over the barrel for anything, because I don't really want, it's not worth it. That's not a,
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying that I don't want to put the city in that situation of approving something that creates an issue for the highway department. So I'm just asking, make sure that that is shown on this plat, what the highway department is trying to acquire. It's none of our business what you're getting paid for that or whatever.
so you just want to see the RDOT right-of-way line on the preliminary plat?
That should be on the preliminary plat. Yeah, you should be showing what the existing and what the new right-of-way for RDOT should be on this plat. Make sure it's accounted for and that we're not coming back.
Yes, sir. Well,
We've got to move lots or do this or that because new right-of-way lines.
yes, sir. I understand, and we just didn't show that because it's not a right-of-way yet. It's not a recorded instrument. So we haven't, just like the right-of-way
What's
that,
shown on this plat.
just like the right-of-way that we've negotiated with Cabot Waterworks isn't shown on there because it hasn't been recorded yet. But we've signed it with Cabot Waterworks. They're waiting on this before they record it. And that's why we don't have the location of their water line, because they haven't given us the AutoCAD yet of where they plan to put it so that we can put it on here.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Well, but the Cabot Waterworks is waiting on this.
Yeah, and the highway department, maybe we need some better answers from them, what they're gonna do and how it's gonna work for you. We need,
They're moving the power poles currently, are they not?
They,
On Highway 5 and
they
through
are
your
moving the
property?
power poles. I talked to First Electric last week, and Once they get everything finalized, then they're gonna send my surveyor, or our surveyor, their CAD file so they can overlay.
I mean, that question basically says, we know, this shows the existing. We know where the new one's going, so someone's approved something somewhere. If
well-
Entergy or First Electric's out there drilling holes in the ground.
So the hash lines on there is the First Electric easement. That's been recorded. They're gonna move those somewhere in.
So
or
the
near
solid lines move into the dash lines.
the-
essentially.
The power lines are gonna move into the hatched area. Yes, sir. But they had it proposed where they were gonna put them, but they don't know exactly where they're gonna go till they get out there with the drill and dig holes.
Yeah, I see, I drive by there every day, so chances are the hill's not being cut down because they're already putting them in the ground. So in terms of the crest of that hill, the elevation's probably where it stands today.
Well, the elevation on our property, because they're on ours, not the highway
Yeah.
department's. And the highway department isn't cutting into that big old hill, because as we all know, there's rock crops coming out of that. They're not gonna be cutting into that rock.
Do we need to consider tabling this?
I was going to suggest that based on the comments and the feedback and the information that's been asked for both by staff as well as this commission, I think it'd be wise to table this until we get additional information, but I would be glad to entertain a motion from one of you guys.
I'll make a motion
Got a motion from
to table.
Liz to table this item for,
Second.
till we get more comments, more answers back. There's a whole list of them. I mean, I got RDOT approval, got the coefficient and the drainage calculations. We got our staff technical review comments. The question about being designed in stages, I think I need some reassurance that this is all going to be built out at one time and not in stages. So I got a motion from Liz, second from Chuck. Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please, Laura.
Knack,
Yes.
O'Gwen,
Yes.
Prater,
Yes.
Byrd,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
DeArmond,
Yes.
Young.
Yes. 7-0, motion passes.
30 days, is that what
So
we're?
we'll table that until we get a little more information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All right, let's go to the next item of business, item B. Laura?
Final plat, Lot 1, Bluebird Edition, Bond Consulting Engineers. Okay, so this is a final plat for a, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry.
A final plat for a Lot 1 subdivision that's located off of Bluebird Lane. They are, as you can see on the agenda, a site plan is being submitted concurrently with this. This is just a one-lot subdivision that already has a zoning for R4M. They are proposing on the site plan 3 triplex units that'll be looked on the next item on the agenda. There's just 2 outstanding items in the staff report, other than the certifications, and then an easement needed to be added to the east side of the property. I did speak to the applicant today. He had some scheduling conflicts and could not be in attendance of this meeting. So I spoke to him about both items on the agenda and in length about especially some things on the site plan. Staff feels that these can be addressed between the applicant and myself to clear these items up. If you have any questions on the items that are in the staff report for the final plat, I can't answer them.
Commissioners have any questions on this item? If not, I entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve with staff comments.
A motion to approve from Lowe, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Knack. Roll call vote, please, Laura.
O'Gwen,
Yes.
DeArmond,
Yes.
Prater,
Yes.
Byrd,
Yes.
Knack,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Young.
Yes. 7-0, motion passes. All right, next item, item C, Laura.
Site plan, Lot 1, Bluebird Edition, Bond Consulting Engineers. This is the site plan for the piece of property that you just approved for a final plat. They are proposing 3 triplex units, which will be 9 total units. They're proposing it on an 1.5 acre piece of property. The back part of the property, or a portion of the property, is located in the floodplain. As you can see in the staff report, there are several items that have not been addressed. There were some additional drainage comments. Again, I did speak to the applicant this afternoon in length about several of these comments. And they will, some of the items they just overlooked on my letter from earlier last week, but they will address these items. They have told me in full to satisfy all the comments. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
Commissioners?
Drainage is good on this one.
Any comments?
They do have some.
Isn't it good?
If not, entertain a motion to approve the site plan for Lot 1.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Prater to a second.
Second.
Second from Lowe. Roll call vote, please, Laura.
Byrd,
Yes.
Prater,
Yes.
O'Gwen,
Yes.
Knack,
Yes.
DeArmond,
Yes.
Lowe,
Yes.
Young.
Yes. All right, 7-0, motion passes. All right, we come to community input. Most of you guys know that item that we just talked about for the preliminary plat for Oak Hill was tabled till next month, so there won't be any further action on that. Other than that topic, is there anything that anyone wants to address the planning commission? All right, seeing none. I got one taker. All right, you got 3 minutes. It started when you stood up. Not teasing.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone. My name is Jeff Allen. I came and spoke with y'all last month. I failed, I realized afterwards, to let you all know that I live at 605 Oakview Drive. I printed out the notes here, and I went through everything pretty thoroughly. Made some notes for myself here. You'll see, if you were to look at my address, you'll see I'm right there at the corner, the intersection of the New Life Church, the Dollar General, and the apex of the neighborhood there, where all the roads meet and where all the drainage and the runoff goes. I think that's pretty important. I've been in this house for almost 3 years now, and so I've had plenty of experience living in this neighborhood and in this house and seeing, the effects of weather and storms and all that. So I have just a few comments here I just want to piggyback off of. From last meeting, I came in and I was telling you about drainage. When we left, the storms kind of whipped up and the clouds were dark. I got back to the house, and wouldn't you know it, that the storm drains there, the easements were completely full, tip top. I think I might have been able to see some light if I shined something underneath. Filled all the way up and all the way around the easement that goes around my property and between my property and the New Life Church. So, and that was probably not the most intense weather that I've seen while being in this house, but just as an example, less than a month ago. Today, rained a little bit and I got lucky. Second comment here, what is that gonna look like when a real storm blows through and fills up? The worst that I've seen is that it fill up to the top of this drainage. And I know you all talked about that here, and I appreciate you bringing up those comments. It's something that definitely needs to get looked at. Last time I discussed that drainage in the yard, in my front yard, there was some damage there. The team came out from the street department and they replaced that. They used the same size drainage. And so drainage remains just about the same. So the purpose of letting you all know that is that this information is still current. Like, there has been some change. There has been some new drainage put in my yard, and it's still the same. The neighborhood is still affected the same. My home is still affected the same. And this is just under a normal, not serious storm. Some other things. About last year, the superintendent at the time, I think his name was David, he came out and visited me to talk about the easement on the backside of my property and drainage and some future plans. Behind New Life Church, there's a facility up on the hill, which he told me they had just finished building and they hadn't yet connected the sewage and water and all that. That's supposed to back up to the back portion of my property. He said it would connect right here. It's maybe 7 to 10 feet off my fence line. And so I was thinking today, I was reading these notes and seeing everyone's comments. I was wondering, what is that going to look like? What kind of increase is that going to cause? Is that something that's been thought about or discussed? Because I imagine that's going to make things a little bit more serious before 200 or 150 or however many tenants decide to come in and show up at their home at 5:30 and all take a shower or flush toilet or what have you at the same time, you know, or just a terrible storm. And there isn't trees and foliage to capture all those things.
All right, I got time. You got a closing statement?
Yes, sir. The last thing that I really wanted to say was that at no point in time, I get a lot of solicitors, nobody's come and knocked on my door and let me know that they were planning on building in the area and they were gonna impact our neighborhood. I've talked with some neighbors after last month's meeting, and it sounds like that's been the same case for them as well. And I think I would have really appreciated somebody from the city or from the Terra Verde team coming by and knocking on the door or slipping something in the box and letting us know, this is what we're planning in your neighborhood, this is how you'll be impacted, we've been thinking about you, we have these retention ponds or detention ponds or what have you, and this is what we're gonna do about sewage and foliage in the area to make sure that you're not negatively impacted.
Do you all have a POA or a homeowner association, property owner association?
No, sir.
Okay. Yeah, it might be a great idea to bring that back, and maybe there's an opportunity for a developer to come meet with you guys and talk about sort of the details of, I mean, I've seen that happen in other cities before. Actually lived next to a place that was going to have a large-scale development. They came and spoke to our POA. We were able to just talk about the issues and hear them out. They heard us. I mean, it's an idea, throwing it out there.
But I don't need to run any calculations to know that this apartment complex, these townhomes will be uphill to be a lot of
Yeah.
people, and whatever they do is gonna impact us down at the bottom of the hill. And being a good neighbor, you know, you knock on the door and let them know what's going on, a flyer or something would be just fine.
Yep.
Also, with all of that, has anyone had a discussion about the electrical impact? Because I also have that substation that's just behind, between mine and my neighbor's yard. What's this drain gonna look like when we have additional folks in the area? Are we going to experience brownouts? Can the grid support it for our particular portion of the city?
Good questions. All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Anyone else have any comments? All right. Appreciate you all being here tonight. It's always great to have public come out and hear what the Planning Commission does and works on and tries to discuss for the betterment of our community. So appreciate y'all's participation. Any other comments, commissioners? Any in-house announcements or whatever? All right. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, see you guys next month. Thank y'all.